Lift up your eyes, behold the hills, from where will help and rescue come. We call on one who made the earth, who blessed the stars, the moon and sun. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. We believe. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. We believe. Turn down your gaze upon the earth. Where is the one who never sleeps? We call on one who guards you now. Your spirit safe in holy keep. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. We believe. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. We believe. Venturing out or coming home, 'neath heat of day or cool of night, we call on one who hears your voice and comes to heal and keep your life. Oh, God is holding your life. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. We believe. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. We believe. We believe. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. God is holding your life. We believe. God is holding your life. Yes, God is holding your life. Oh, God is holding your life. We believe.
Well, hello, everybody. You may know me. I'm Glenn Cransley, and I'm a member of the Community Outreach Benefit Task Force, or COB. And we're here today to celebrate and give thanks and give you an update with some numbers about this year's campaign. Back in January, when we started talking about the 2020 campaign, we were very unsure about what to do, if we should do anything. And the reason for that was that the members of the task force, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into the COB campaign year over year. And after 19 years, folks were exhausted. But we decided to go on. We decided to do a monetary donations only campaign for this year. And that would mean no block party, no raffle, no golf tournament, no fun runs, no restaurant fundraisers. And we proceeded from there. Well, the next month, we learned that this country was being swept by the COVID-19 pandemic. And it probably looked like, and we realized that all of those things that we used to do in the past probably weren't going to be possible. But it was really a coincidence that the two things were happening at the same time. We set a goal of $50,000 to raise this year. And we chose 4 very deserving families, and you're going to meet them later. And I'm going to save the final numbers, the specific numbers, till later in this program. But we blew through that goal of $50,000. And I was one of the people that had a lot of doubts back then in January whether we would be successful. And when we learned about COVID, can we ask people to give money when they're facing all these other problems? Maybe people who've lost jobs, people who are having trouble paying their own bills. How could we ask them to dig down and support COB? And I was wrong. Anybody who thought that it wouldn't be successful was wrong. I'll admit that I'm a little embarrassed by that. But as I was thinking about the generosity of the hundreds of people who supported COB this year, I was hearing a story that Jesus taught a little differently. So Jesus was explaining to his followers that they would be meeting him in heaven. And he said, the reason for that, and we remember what Jesus said. He said, when I was hungry, when I was sick, when I was in prison. But I was hearing that message a little differently. And Jesus said, when I couldn't pay my mortgage, you helped me. When I didn't have enough money to get a decent vehicle, you helped me. When my insurance coverage zeroed out, you stepped in and covered my expenses. When my house was such a wreck and it needed repairs and I didn't have the money to do it, you took care of it for me. So I think listening to Jesus' message that way conveys how we in the COB Task Force feel about all the folks that supported us this year. Now, I'm going to introduce the Reverend Rick Gould. Rick was the pastor here when COB began in 2002, and he is going to give us his thoughts about the origins of COB and bring us up to date on that.
Hi, everybody. It was my privilege to be a part of the COB at its inception, and I just want to offer a few reflections on the experience. You see, I believe that the story of the Community Outreach Benefit is a story of the workings of the Holy Spirit. It didn't just come out of nowhere, but rather grew from a series of events that took place in the life of this church. One was the generous challenge of a member to this congregation to pay off the mortgage. Another was the angry response of Bob Westhoff, our council president at the time, to a sermon I preached where I spoke of stagnation, which led him to start a campaign, Save Our Church, SOC, to revitalize this congregation. But there was a third element to this, which was my dealing with the death of my father. That took place in early 2001. And that led to a serendipitous connection to a high school classmate who had been a therapist at the world-famous Manager Clinic and had produced a video on how to deal with chronic illnesses. She sent me a copy of that video, which I used to start a support group here at the church for families dealing with various chronic conditions. And that led to several months of very fruitful discussions and the raising of awareness about the hidden financial burdens of chronic illnesses. One participant in that group was Margaret Graves, whose daughter-in-law, Michelle, suffered from lupus. And in early 2002, Margaret's husband, Chuck, contacted Margie Peterson of the Morning Call, urging her to interview Michelle and Rob Graves about their struggles. And so she wrote an article, "Happy Valentine's Day, honey. Let's get a divorce." So we had three elements coming together here. An opportunity opening up when we paid off the mortgage, a sense of urgency that we had to do something new, and an awareness of a need. Now, we asked a group of women to plan a festival for our church's anniversary, which is the last Sunday in July. I believe that original planning group involved Nancy Carr, Bee Dull, Charmaine Fegley, Mary Frederick, Lorraine Johnson, Nancy Strauss, and LaRue Westhoff. I hope I didn't forget anyone or get that incorrect. Well, they came back with a COB to raise $5,000 to help Rob and Michelle Graves with their crushing medical bills. In 10 short weeks, they organized and carried out the very first community outreach benefit and raised, as I recall, $8,400. Now, I've left out two further workings of the Holy Spirit in this story. The fifth was a month after COB when Nancy Carr hosted a picnic celebration and asked the all-important question, do you want to do this again? But there was a much, much earlier working of the Holy Spirit that took place several years before all of this. You see, a young man I didn't know, a patient at what was then Allentown Osteopathic Hospital, listed himself as a member of St. John's. His name was Rob Graves. And the Holy Spirit told me, go visit him. There were, of course, far more workings of the Holy Spirit in the life of COB. The outreach to other churches, which led to an email from Ed Zinn about his son John, second year, and a chance encounter at a funeral where I learned of Lori Hirsch's hospitalization the third year. But there have been countless workings of the Holy Spirit since. Promptings which brought forth arduous labor from members of this church and the community that poured forth in abounding generosity. And now I think the Holy Spirit is saying it's okay to say goodbye. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Rick. To just give a little more context and detail about the story that Rick told about COB growing, yeah, it sure did. And it's been a success every year because of the partnerships that were formed. So while COB originated at St. John's, it became a community organization. And I think at the head of that, we would mention some of our church brothers and sisters here in the Coopersburg area. Certainly St. James Lutheran, which when St. John's was a Union church, the Lutherans left and built the church on the highway there, St. James. Certainly they've played a big role. Frieden's Lutheran. Year after year, when they held their Peach Festival in August, all of the profits were given to COB. We had businesses and organizations like Quakertown National Bank. All of the restaurants that held fundraisers for us. Two stand out. Brick Tavern has been the most generous. So not only did they give a portion of their sales, but the owners made a donation directly to COB on top of that. 2 years ago, a restaurant in Hellertown, Braveheart, decided to have a 5K run on the rail trail over in Hellertown, and they gave those proceeds to COB. So we've been so fortunate to have all of these partners. Recently, COB connected with a group in Quakertown Community Outreach, and they work year-round to support families in need. So it was a nice fit, and they've been tremendous partners as well. One of the things that we got good at in recent years was grant writing. And so there are charitable foundation grants that have been very, very generous to COB. Chief among them, I would mention the Stabler Foundation. Donald Stabler created a foundation which has been a big supporter. The Linden Foundation, the Bill Sugra Foundation. Mr. Sugra died on 9/11. He was working in one of the towers, and his family created a foundation to do good in his name, and they certainly have when it comes to COB. And the Hankey Foundation, they got involved for the first time this year, and what they do is provide gift cards for gasoline to help families that need help with covering expense of traveling to treatment and so on. And that became a big deal for one of our families this year. The Stokes family, their little baby needed a heart and lung transplant, and they were just wearing themselves out going back and forth to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. But the gas cards that the Hankey Foundation provided made a big difference. Okay, I'm going to introduce one of the other members of the COB task force now, and she is with Carly and Carol Ziegler. Carly was a COB recipient in 2014, and we're going to let them tell us about that experience and bring us up to date on what's been going on.
Hi, my name's Debbie Lowe. I've been on the COB team for 14 years, and one of my biggest pleasures was getting to know the recipients. And I'm so thankful that I've gotten to know the Ziegler family. Carly's, what year were you a recipient, Carly?
2014.
Good, you remember that. That's good. And her mom, Carol, is here today to answer. Just tell us a little bit about what COB has meant to them. I think there's a microphone over there, Carly. What were things like for you and your family when you first got introduced to COB?
Well, things for my family, we had a lot of trouble with transportation before. And COB ended up helping us get a van so I could be a part of the community. So that was a very nice blessing.
You liked to go to your sister's sporting events, didn't you?
Yes, that was huge for me.
And Mom, what did you think about that?
Well, there's not enough time to say, or, to let everyone know the gratitude that we had with the community outreach benefit. It truly was a blessing. As I'm getting older, Carly was getting heavier, and transportation to different events just were not in her future until a call to Reverend Gould brought us to the community outreach, and they said, we would love to help you. That was overwhelming, an overwhelming joy to just help our family be normal and travel to different things. In the prior years to receiving the van, when we got the van, Carly was at her highest point in high school, where she became the homecoming queen and went to prom, participated in different activities at school, which would have been impossible if we had not had the help from the community outreach. So gratefulness is just beyond words, just beyond words.
And Carly, did you like those block parties?
Oh yes, I remember the first time I went to the block party. I remember seeing the lovely smiles on everybody's faces, and getting to know everybody was a wonderful blessing for me.
And you even sang a song, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
With June?
Yes,
Yeah. You have a lovely voice.
thank you.
And you guys had spaghetti dinners to raise money?
Yes, after I became a recipient, we decided to help future families, and we did 2 pasta dinners, and they were a huge success.
They
so.
were because of you. Your personality shone through, Carly. And Mom, you helped a lot. You helped me a lot in canvassing for donations, especially in the Hellertown area, since you were from Hellertown. And you just jumped right in. Your family was always supportive and helpful.
Well, that's probably the least we can do. Of course, receiving is beautiful when it's needed, but giving is even better. So through our time with the community outreach benefit, not only were we able to benefit, but we grew spiritually and also different ways, just helping other families. Just a beautiful thing.
And what's life like now for you?
Life is very good.
Good.
Right now. After high school, I got a job, and the van got me to where I was supposed to go. So, I can go to grocery stores now and try to shop for things and see what I can get for myself,
Mm-hmm.
And probably the biggest thing is Carly got to go on dates.
Whoa, good, Carly.
That puts a smile on her face every day.
Yes.
No.
It's very nice.
That's very nice. Very cute, Carly. So you haven't been able to work at your job, I guess, because of COVID, huh?
No, I haven't been able to work because of COVID, but,
And the family's moved,
yes, we have.
and you're going to build a house.
Yes.
Everything's going great.
Yes.
Good. Well, we're so happy that we were able to be a part of helping your family to success, happiness, and we're so grateful to you guys for everything you've done for COB. You've just helped in so many ways, and you've been a great person to look up to for everyone else in the organization, and we're happy that you could be with us today. Thank you.
We're happy and honored to be a part of this beautiful benefit, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Carly and Carol and Deb. And Carly became a real student leader at Saucon Valley High School, and the Becoming Queen Carly, that was the icing on the cake. That was wonderful. I want to introduce, we have several of the members of the COB task force here today. Not everyone could attend, but I'm going to ask these folks to come up front here and just be acknowledged. Of course, there's Debbie Lowe and Mike Lowe, her husband, are here. Susan Bortz is here. And Martha is here. And Charmaine Fegley is here.
And Glenn Cransley is here.
Yeah. Charmaine is the only one among us who has been on the committee on the task force every year since the beginning. And we sadly we've some of our members have died. Bob Westhoff, Tom Bamberger, and this year B. Dull and Mary Frederick are the folks that we miss very much. Thank you for all your hard work. Now, last month, Martha Helverson and I delivered checks to the 4 families. And the way we used to do this is we would have our celebration here at St. John's, and the families would be present, and we would hand checks to them. But we did it differently this year. And for you to get to meet them, we recorded. We made little videos of those check passing events, and we're gonna show them to you. I just want to introduce a little bit about the families. I mentioned Logan Stokes. Logan he's about 2.5 now, and he has a sister named Leilani who is 11, and his mom and dad are Ivy and Adam. And the diagnosis was very complicated, and it was recommended that Logan, just a baby, would receive a heart and lung transplant. And that never worked out. They went to CHOP in Philadelphia. They went to the Children's Hospital of St. Louis, and they couldn't recommend proceeding with that. So now the goal is to keep Logan healthy and happy. We have the Leary's family, Richard and Shannon. Shannon is disabled, uses a wheelchair. She has a very complicated diagnosis involving many infections, many surgeries, and they needed help to get a van, that would help them to transport Shannon just for anything. We have the Gambetta family. These folks live in Center Valley. Mom and dad, James and Jamie, are both disabled. James injured his back. He worked for a company that cleaned up flooding and fires, and he injured his back carrying furniture. And last year, Jamie was diagnosed with a very unusual brain disorder, which involved high pressure in her brain, and it made her dizzy and sick, and she had to stop working, and the family needed, because neither parent could work, they needed help fixing up their home, and they're working on that. And Jamie is doing a lot better, and they have 4 children. I didn't mention the Simpsons. Adam and Desiree Simpson. Adam had just started his own carpentry business when he became sick, and he suffers from heart disease and kidney disease, and he is unable to breathe, but with a tracheotomy, so he has that. And they have 5 children, and they just needed help making ends meet. So we're going to see those 4 families in these short videos. Well, we're here at a parking lot in Cetronia. It used to be the Kmart, and this is Adam and Desiree Simpson, and we're just so happy to be able to give them the final check on what we raised this year. And we started off, we didn't know if we could do this with the COVID, but we did. It was very successful. So I know the money's going to help with bills and upcoming things, but we always feel it's such a blessing to get to know you folks. Just this morning we were talking about how you've been handling things. It's a blessing. So so you have the money, and you'll always have our prayers. That doesn't end when
No, you guys will, trust me, never be forgotten. I mean, it's just no idea what it's done. Honestly, no idea what it's done for our family.
Just for part of the video, you said you have been feeling better. You're living with the trait now.
Physically, I feel a lot better. I'm able to get up, move around, do stuff with the family. Obviously, because of the pandemic, not much, but get up, walk the dogs. Did find out this is permanent, but learning to adjust.
And then you were saying the plus of being home to work with the kids on the cyber street.
Yeah, now I get to spend a lot more time with the kids. Unfortunately, she spends less time because she has to work now, but we're making it work.
Good. And Desiree, what was it, like carpal tunnel surgery?
Yeah, carpal tunnel and
Still
cubital
got the stitches.
tunnel. So I had surgery on my elbow and my wrist. I'm out of work right now,
Okay.
recovering.
Okay. Had you gone back to Lowe's?
Yeah. I'm at Lowe's and he's at the store now.
Now she's on temporary disability right now because of the
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was there yesterday, and they told her, 4 more weeks.
4 more weeks I'll be out. Yeah.
But thankfully, with her being on temporary disability, and then I was also approved for SSI, so we're making it work. And plus, with everything everybody else has done to me, we're more than grateful. We can never say thank you enough. And I know, wish the kids could be here, but
Yeah, and I'll tell you what else is this is a time when we would be shaking hands and
Yeah.
hugging, but maybe another time.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Once all this craziness stops,
But
I
we hope
definitely appreciate it.
We hope you stay well,
Thank you very much.
and let's keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're at the home of Adam and Evie and Logan, and Logan is about 2 years old. You can see he's growing up, and he's a very happy guy. And you can see he's got the oxygen, and there's a lot of things they keep doing to take care of his condition, his heart condition and pulmonary condition. But he's a good little guy. This is for you. There's two checks in there because one of our funding sources, the way the grant is handled, had to be a separate check. But we know the money helps. It helps with bills, but it's our love for you and our prayers for you that we think are also so important. And even though our campaign this year is over, that doesn't end. You know,
Yeah.
you'll always be in our prayers, and I hope we can keep in touch sometimes. And you know, I love getting the pictures when you send those. It's so nice to see them. It sounds like you guys are doing okay right now.
Yes, we are right now, definitely. So do you want? There you go.
Does that smell good?
Oh, and Logan has a sister. She's in 6th grade. Lala, she
Yes,
call her Lala?
Leilani, yes.
Leilani.
Lala for short.
So the four people that are living here in the family. Adam's mom happens to be visiting from Wales right now. Adam's from the UK, and so they're having a nice reunion.
Yeah.
So
Too long.
Yes.
Too long.
So
Where's Loki?
we wish you guys the best. You know, this is an occasion for hugging and all that. but
Yes.
I know.
Maybe in the future.
Air
Yes,
hug.
definitely.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Martha.
Well, I think you know me. I'm Glenn Cransley. I'm a member of the COB Task Force, and we're here with Rich and Landon Leary. The Learys were one of our families this year. They live in Quakertown, and the mom, the wife, Shannon, has had a number of diagnoses, and it's not been so good for Shannon, and even now. Rich, how would you say things have been going?
They haven't been going great lately. Due to all the stress of the hospitalization, she developed severe PTSD. She has actually had a mental breakdown, which we're currently trying to resolve right now. Has more testing coming up. They have some growths on her that they're keeping an eye on, making sure they're not getting bigger. It's just been extremely stressful.
Yeah.
Especially around the house with the kids and everything.
And in addition to Landon, there's 2 other boys?
Yep, there's Gage Leary, he's our oldest. He's 18, he's actually her caregiver during the week. He was, we picked him through the county services that Shannon was provided, and he gets to help her for X amount of hours a day, which helps me be able to work.
Yeah. And so you've been able to work from home?
I've been able to work from home for the majority. Every once in a while I have to go out to a job site, but for the most part I am home.
Okay. And when we visited you earlier in the year, we met Callie.
Yep, met Callie, Shannon's cat, still in support.
Yeah.
Every time she's in bed, she runs right up to her, snuggles her up, and definitely does calm her down.
Yeah.
So,
In fact, I think Shannon told us that there was an occasion where she had fallen asleep and she needed to get up, and Callie woke her up.
yep. Yeah, that's what she would always say, that Callie would be standing on her when something was about to go wrong with her ostomy, or if her heart rate or anything. She has a smart watch to analyze her sleeping habits and all that. So yeah, she would always tell me, oh, Kelly woke me up because my heart rate dropped too low, or Kelly woke me up because my bag was about to explode, or hear those stories many times.
That's pretty cool. Well, we've got a check for you, and we were very successful this year with our fundraising. We were nervous, you know, with the COVID, and we didn't know if it was going to work. And we just asked people to support us. You know, this is the last year we're doing COB. It's our 19th year, and we've been overwhelmed with people's generosity. You'll see the amount there, and then together with the other 5,000, we hope that's going to help you with some bills. And you know, as I was saying, the money helps, but you've always got our prayers, and that's not going to stop. That's going to continue. I hope we can keep in touch someday.
I do hope
You know,
so as well.
just emails and texts. That's all good.
Excellent.
We
appreciate it.
This is a time where we should be able to give a hug or at least shake hands, but we'll have to hold that off.
Not in today's day and age.
Yeah, sometime in the future we will. Hi, we're here in front of St. John's with the Gambetta family. They're from Center Valley, and they're one of our COB families this year. We wrapped up our campaign. We have a check for you. Joseph, do you want to introduce the boys? And that's Jamie, that's the mom.
I'm Joseph. This is Jacob. This is Joey. This is Gary. This is my wife Jamie. And we're here because we're having. I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't do that.
Well, we've wrapped up our campaign, our
Yes.
fundraising campaign, and we feel very blessed. People were generous, so we were able to exceed our goal. So you can, I'll hand that to you.
Thank you very much.
And we know that one of the things that you would like to do is get into a different house.
Yes, we're looking to get in.
Yes, we need to get into ours. Is very unsafe. We are
creepy.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Fix it up till we get something.
And this will help get you toward that. You know, the money helps with the bills, but we think it's also important is the prayers.
Yes.
And that's not going to stop. Doesn't stop at the end of the campaign or going forward. You know, we've done this for 19 years, and this is our last year. But that ongoing love and support that we feel for the families, that's not going to change.
That's what we appreciate that a lot because we are going through a lot with our troubles. So.
Jamie, this all started last year, right? You were you had headaches, you were dizzy, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't look up. I still have trouble. I get real dizzy when I look up. I had a lot of fluid on my brain. I was supposed to have surgery done. I've lost 40 pounds since then.
That's
I was
good.
Heavier, but that was causing a lot of the pressure too. I started new therapy. I may still have to have the shunt put in. They're not sure, we're still working on it. This was about a year ago it started.
And besides all that, Joseph, you were hurt at work.
Yes, I got hurt at work. I broke my back and I had 2 back surgeries and numerous pain therapies and nothing really helped. So
And
permanent.
Now I'm having surgery on my hand. So we're a mess right now, but when we do get it together, we would like to pay it forward. We're very appreciative for one day somebody's going to need help, and we're going to be there.
that's great.
One day.
And you guys are hanging in with school. Are you virtual or do you go to school sometimes?
We're homeschooling them.
Homeschooling.
Yep.
Okay.
And they're doing all good.
Yeah,
that's good.
They had their benchmark testing done, and they got all above average for him, and
I'm not stinking.
average for the rest.
Why? Like you.
And Jacob loves to talk.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Okay, we have, I mentioned that we had we brought up the COB team members. We brought them up front here, and there's 2 people that weren't able to be here today who've been very important for COB, and that's Jeff and Nancy Carr. Reverend Rick mentioned that Nancy was the first chair of the COB task force, and Jeff worked right alongside her all these years. So they recorded videos of themselves at home with their thoughts and a message for us. So you're going to see their videos. One other thing I wanted to mention is we just today received copies of a proclamation from the Pennsylvania House of Representatives congratulating COB for its work over the years. So that's a nice honor, and we're going to get a frame and hang it here at St. John's. We didn't give you the numbers. So Mike, would you help me with this? So this year, I mentioned that we had a goal of 50,000, and we exceeded that. You can see it's 86,874. And the reason we set the goal at 50,000, it was because with that amount, it would get us to $1 million over the 19 years that COB has been working. So, Mike?
Here's the big number. We did over $1 million over 19 years, which is truly astounding for relatively small group of people.
So we're going to see the COB's, we're going to see the CAR's video messages, and that will be the conclusion of our program today.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Carr, one of the original members and presently a part of the COB team.
And I'm Nancy, Jeff's better half. And I was the original COB team leader way back in 2002. And Jeff and I have just been so blessed and grateful and humbled that we've been able to be a part of this adventure for the past several years.
Kindly indulge us as we share a few thoughts and reflect on some of our most memorable COB events and blessings that have occurred during this chapter of our lives. I often think back to our first COB fundraiser that took place in the parking lot of St. John's UCC. I still often look at the Polaroid picture of our then 10-year-old daughter dressed in full Coopersburg Volunteer Fire Company gear, helmet and all, face barely visible, standing with Brian Ermey, who brought the fire truck to the block party and helped the youth with the gear and the eventual parental pictures. Let's not forget the sumo wrestling oversized suits that we rented and watched the participants battle it out, all in 95-degree temperatures. COB was on its way toward a more excellent way. One defining moment that I'll forever remember was in the winter of 2009. Reverend Rick was recovering from hip surgery, and Nancy and I were given the honor and privilege of interviewing potential recipients for COB's 2010 fundraising campaign. The task of the two of us actually being able to put a face with a name, meet the families in their homes, and truly understand their situations and feel their struggles was a game changer. The Apostle Paul's message to the church in Corinth concerning spiritual gifts is interrupted in chapter 13 with a message on love. The introduction to this essay is prompted in chapter 12 when Paul urges the Corinthians to strive for the greater gifts, and God would show them a still more excellent way. Love is patient, love is kind. This has become such familiar text for us that we can lip sync it with the readers at weddings. God is love, and we are reminded by Paul that the many parts all working together instruct us to use our diversity of gifts and talents bestowed by God, with an emphasis on unity. All parts must cooperate to form a single unified body. Whenever a single member is missing, their absence is felt. This, to me, is COB. What can our world be like if we too are love? The more excellent way of love leads us to serve others.
God has blessed us tremendously over the past 19 years the COB has been in existence. He's pulled together our community through volunteers, recipients, area churches, donators, and those are just a few that I can think of. He has guided us through the power of the Holy Spirit in choosing needed recipients and has given us creative ideas that have aided in our fundraising efforts. You know, we instinctively think about success as the money we've raised for our recipients. But you know, over the years, we've had many of the recipients tell us it's not so much the monies, but it's knowing that there are people out there who care for them. Which brings us to our next blessing, and that's our COB team and all of our volunteers. It's, in my opinion, one of the greatest things or one of the greatest feelings is working together alongside someone else to achieve a common goal. And as John Bryan nicely put it, you have not lived a day until you have done something for someone who can never repay you. With God, all things are possible.